In this course, you will learn about the regulatory environments of the world's two major medical device markets. Specifically, we will explore the differences between the regulatory environment in the US and the regulatory environment in the EU. Many countries have specialized regulatory bodies responsible for protecting public health. These entities have regulations for medical devices. Examples of these regulatory bodies include the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, in the US, the European Commission's Directorate of the European Union in the EU, Health Canada in Canada, and the Department of Health in Australia. These countries have adopted a risk-based approach to classifying medical devices. The riskier the medical device, the more regulatory scrutiny the manufacturer will face in demonstrating safety and efficacy. Some efforts have been made to harmonize the requirements among different countries. Despite these attempts, there are still some differences. So let's begin by diving into the fundamentals of the US regulatory environment. Afterward, we will discuss the EU requirements. A division of the FDA, called the Center for Devices and Radiological Health, CDRH, is responsible for regulating firms that manufacture, repackage, relabel, and/or import medical devices and radiation-emitting products sold in the United States. Other devices are regulated by the Center of Biologics Evaluation and Research, CBER. These include devices for blood collection, blood products, cellular therapies, and devices that work in combination with these biological products. The FDA categorizes medical devices into three distinct classes: Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3. In vitro diagnostic devices, IVD, have their own classification system. In the US, the device class determines the requirements the medical device manufacturer must meet in order to distribute a device in the market. As discussed previously, the device classification depends both on the device's intended use and on the corresponding indications of use. The classification is also based on the risk the device presents to the patient or end user. Let's take a look at the differences between Class 1, 2, and 3 medical devices. Class 1 devices are defined as non-life-sustaining. They do not present a potential unreasonable risk of illness or injury. Class 1 devices are those for which general controls are considered sufficient. Requirements that are applicable to all medical devices include provisions for the prohibition of adulterated, misbranded, or banned devices, pre-market notification, 510(k) requirements, GMP requirements, registration of manufacturing facilities, listing of device types, record keeping, repairs, replacements, and refunds. There are also some exemptions made by the FDA. An exempt device is exempt from the pre-market submission process. This happens when the FDA decides that a 510(k) is not required to provide reasonable assurance of device safety and effectiveness. We will discuss the meaning of 510(k) later in this course. Examples of exempt devices include manual stethoscopes, thermometers, and bedpans. In the US, if a manufacturer's device falls into a generic category of exempt Class 1 devices, as defined in 21 CFR Parts 862 through 892, neither a pre-market notification application nor FDA clearance is required before marketing the device in the US. However, manufacturers are required to register their establishment and list their device's generic category or classification name.